And then she gets this syringe out, puts it in, takes some blood out, pulls it out, gets a cotton ball, puts that on the thing. Hold that there, love. Got my thumb on my own arm. I'm sure she just got the syringe, just took the end off, just chucked the syringe back in the drawer for the next time. I'm certain that's Hello world. So it's just a very quick one I'm going to pop together here. Just my thoughts on I've just been to the doctor's. Guess what he told me? I went to the doctor's because I booked in what I'm entitled to at my age, which is an NHS health check. It's what you can do when you're this kind of age, 40 plus as a man, just to see whether or not you were about to drop dead, or whether you're going to live forever. I suppose that's the two sides to this sides to the coin. And I've just got to share, and I got to at least just divulge how that experience went, because I was a bit like, there's nothing wrong with me. I feel a-okay, I feel tip-top, other than a few like niggles when it comes to like aches and pains and stuff like that. I'm just generally okay. I'd never get ill. I'm fine. But I thought, you know what? I have been pumping into that freaking NHS via my national insurance for the last 30 years, and I've seldom taken a drop out. So I thought, let's get these guys working for me for a bit. It's a FOC gratis service where, I can go in and just see what's what. And I thought, who knows? It might pop. It might reveal something that I need to look more in depth into. Now, don't get me wrong. I was not under any illusion whatsoever that this was going to be a full, like, body scan, sort of analysis, deep tissue fibre, screening of every sort of drop of bloody fluid in my body to see, just what I'm tolerant to and intolerant to. And I did not expect that by any means, but I did think, okay, there's going to be a bit of meat to the bone here. There has to be. Surely there has to be some meat to this bone, okay? So I go in, I haven't been in the doctor's surgery for a long time. I was greeted by a digital signing in process, which blew me away. Now, I spend my life digitally signing into things, so, I don't know why I was so surprised, but I think it was just like, okay, we're in the 21st century here. There's a screen, a touchpad, where you've got to, you can sign in by putting in your date of birth, and you don't have to speak to the human being behind the counter, which is always a treat these days. But anyway, whatever, signed in, and off I went. I go in to see my doc. Come on. And in you go, and I'm like, hey there, making pleasantries. Now, this doctor was of an age like my nan, and as I got talking to her a little bit further, she was older. Let's go this way. She was older, and she actually made a joke about, next time I go in for one of these screenings in 5 years, she'll be hopefully long gone. So she was at least early to mid 60s, let's say. Anyway, so chat. She's like, okay, so what we're going to do is a couple of things. We're going to check your blood pressure. Okay, cool. So get the little thing around the arm, pump it all up, hold it for a bit. Got my arm on like this like pillow, which it was a pillow where it's like a pillow for bedwetters. It was made out of like waterproof material, which is fine, I get it, but I'm like, okay, cool. It was like a bedwetter's pillow without the pillowcase on, just there. And I'm like, okay. So I'm sat awkwardly on this bed, got this thing, check my blood pressure, look down at the machine, 182. The next bank of numbers underneath was, I think it was 80, and something else underneath. So I know the wording, 182 over 85, 63, whatever. And so I say to her, just make a comment. I'm like, oh, so what do these numbers mean then? And she said, well, basically, my love, what that means is it's the difference between the pressure of your blood going out of your heart to the pressure of your blood coming back in. I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Kind of a differential there, some sort of delta T. I'm like, yeah, okay. So, and she goes, basically, see whether it's okay. I'm like, cool. So the numbers then, what what do they actually mean? Like, and I'm thinking, you know, I'm an engineer, I'm like, I know what this is, but I'm like, what is 182? What are we talking about? What's the unit of measurement here? And what is the over 82? You know, where are we? She didn't know, man. I'm telling you now. She went, well, basically, it's the numbers that say whether you're okay or not. And yeah, you're fine. You're in the scale, your acceptable scale. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I am going to chat GPT that exact definition when I get out of here, which I haven't. I should have done it before recording this, but nonetheless. She then says, right, I'm going to take your heart rate. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Now, I've had a bloody Fitbit for a decade or more, which is just collecting dust in the thing. She took my heart rate by, I'm not even joking, pushing her monitor out the way, pulling out an old white clock, which wasn't even on the wall, which was leaning up against the window, pulled it to one side so she could see the second hand, and then just putting her finger on my wrist, and then counting for 15 seconds, and then presumably multiplying whatever she'd counted by 4, so she get beats per minute. I'm like, is this the accuracy level that I'm operating on here? And she went, oh, that's fine. I didn't even ask her. I was going to say, what is it? I didn't even ask her, because I'm pretty sure the third row of numbers on the blood pressure monitor was 63, which I think was 63 BPM. Again, I'm going to look this up, maybe cross-section that into this video. So I'm like, okay. She says, how's your, she goes, are you okay with taking blood? Giving blood? Yeah, no problem. Right, okay. She rustles into a drawer, pops out a syringe. She gets what could only be described as like an old bicycle inner tube, piece of rubber, wraps it around my upper arm, ties it into a knot, pinching my skin to get my vein out. I'm like, is this like, I know it's common practice in, I don't know, World War II, but it literally felt like I got back a century with the technology that she was using. I couldn't believe it. And then she gets this syringe out, puts it in, takes some blood out, pulls it out, gets a cotton ball, puts that on the thing. Hold that there, love. Got my thumb on my own arm. I'm sure she just got the syringe, just took the end off, just chucked the syringe back in the drawer for the next. I'm certain that syringe just went back in the drawer. Honestly, I don't think it was disposable. I think it was just reusable. It's just just pump the blood out into a vial, put the syringe back in. So I got a couple of more goes on that one. All right. And then she goes, I said, okay, well, that's cool. She goes, right then, next thing you know, we've got to do your height and weight. Okay. I mean, honestly, the technology here is so subpar. It was the crap. I kicked my shoes. She didn't even ask me to take my shoes off for a start, right? I kicked my shoes off. I said, do you want me? I just took them off. She had me on the scale before. I'm like, no, I'll take this off. Took it off. I hopped on to the scales, and they were just like, you could buy a set of scales like this in Poundland. They were so antiquated. They were so like, it was just unbelievable. And I looked down, and I'm like, whatever. And she took that. Then she goes, go up, stand up against the wall. I stood up against the wall. She goes, heels against the wall. Now, there was a bit of skirting board about 1.5 inches thick. And I'm like, I wonder if that impacts my height. You know, if you're being really accurate here, but whatever. Measured up. She's leaning up to me. I'm obviously like, I'm 5'10". She's like 4'10". She's up there, trying. She goes, is that on your head? Or is it your hair? And I'm like, it's fine. Pulled it down. Well, she goes, Dave, could you walk out so I can see the number? I'm like, all right. So as I walked out, the whole thing just went, just jotted down. She gave me, I was in half-inch lower. I'm like, do you know what? Again, I'm not even going to tell her. I'm like, what's the point? I'm not going to bother telling her. So, yeah, so that was my height and weight done. She then went back to the computer. I'm sure she fired up Windows version 95. Windows 95 popped up on that thing. And she goes, I'm going to ask you some questions now. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. She goes, how often do you walk? What do you eat? Is your diet good? Would you say, how many alcohol units do you? It was just a generic ABC. And like when I was answering, it was like a band. It was like, would you say your diet is good, bad, or in between? And I'm like, there's no accuracy to this malarkey. You know, how many units of alcohol do you drink, you know, per month? Is it once a month? 2 to 4 times a month? 4 to 8 times a month? Right, that's a bit of a range. Can you not put in exact figures into this thing? No, it's just like drop down menu. Unreal. And then she said, well, what we'll do is I will put this into my boss and she will analyze it, and if you've got any issues, we will contact you. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, what if I haven't got any issues? Can I just get the results anyway? Like, where are we on this? And she's like, no, it'll only be if you've got any issues. I was like, I'm interested to see what my, you know, for example, you do my cholesterol test, yeah? Yes. I'm like, can I get my results? What is my cholesterol? I'd be interested to see that. But yeah, no, you can't get that. I think you can download an app apparently. I'm like, yeah, just another thing to log my data. Absolute farce. So I've come away, I'm like, I feel like I have literally had a health check from 1940s, post or pre-war fucking Britain. And that is what I've paid probably, I mean, God knows what my NHS cumulative contributions, my national insurance cumulative contributions have been over the last 30 years. I probably could have bought a hospital, let alone fucking paid for some 65-year-old bloody woman to weigh me on a set of scales she bought in bloody pound stretcher and measure me with a tape measure attached to a fucking bit of wood that was nailed to a plasterboard wall. Honestly, it's like, they wonder why the NHS is crumbling to its knees. And I suppose you could argue, what did I expect? You know, what am I expecting here? I should have gone private, but why should I go private? You know, you got a lot of Yanks, a lot of people around the world, a lot of British people, misguided, misinformed, talk about, oh, it's great that the NHS is free. I'm like, it's not free. Take that word out of your vocabulary. The NHS is not free. It is paid for by me and any other person who works. So, on that note, I do not think I get value for money, or I have not got value for money. You know, I have wanted to have some fucking high blood pressure or cholesterol or something. Adios.